Today the Bible will come alive through pictures and through word. And we're going to start out a little bit slow, so we make sure that we understand where we're going. But we're basically going to look at the tabernacle, heaven touching earth. 10 plagues behind them, they had crossed the Red Sea and journeyed to the foot of Mount Sinai. Now here, I love this part of the story because the people become impatient. They start groaning. The leeks and the onions in Egypt now seem to be something that they would want to return to. And besides, who put this Moses guy in charge? Like, who made him God? You know, he's led us out here to the middle of nowhere to die. They had forgot about the 10 plagues, many of which never touched any of them. They forgot about the death angel. They forgot about the parting of the Red Sea. They forgot about all those things. And now, while Moses is on Mount Sinai to hear from God, they're kind of below and they're growing impatient. Not too much different than humans today. We don't like sitting. Patience is not our strong suit. And give us enough time, we will mess things up if we're in charge ourselves. What did these people do to you that you led them into such great sin? Don't be angry, my Lord, Aaron answered. You know how prone these people are to evil. They said to me, make us gods who will go before us. And as for this fellow Moses, who brought us up out of Egypt, we don't know what has happened to him. So I told them, whoever has any gold, take it off. Then they gave me the gold, and I threw it in the fire, and out popped this calf. I had nothing to do with it, Moses. I mean, these people were dancing and drinking and doing all kinds of things, and so I just stripped them of their gold, and I threw it in the fire, and out came this calf. Pretty much like the Garden of Eden, the snake and Eve and Adam. First sin, then shame, and then shift the blame. It's pretty much like me and you, especially when we're younger. Have you ever watched children? Even in a day school, a preschool, even though they're little, maybe they may not even be able to talk yet, and they're getting ready to poke somebody or twist an ear or take a toy that don't belong to them. What's the first thing they do? See if anybody's watching. Even if no one told them, this is the rule, don't break it, something inside them tells them this isn't something they should do. So here you have the Hebrews. They've been freed from bondage, generations worth of bondage, but they got all this old baggage. They have all these old ways of thinking. They have all these old sinful patterns in their life. They have this other culture. They have this other language that's influenced them. Pretty much they've been separated from their own God. So before they could experience actually the true God, he had to take them on a little trip into the wilderness. All the yarn, all the hides, all of this came from their enemy, their oppressor. Sometimes we have to listen to God, and he will supply our needs from the most unlikely sources. Some of my greatest lessons have been learned when I was in places that were miserable, the dry places of my own spiritual walk. And he supplied my need. Most of you can see the furniture up here. The furniture I've been gathering for several years, as with the costume and all of that. I've had to take classes and get training to learn how to make things, but it costs money. And I don't say this in a bragging way, but to show you if God has laid something on your heart, he will fund it. He will take care of it. None of this stuff was paid for by any offerings. None of it. Unless you consider my wife allowing me to spend our money the way I see fit as an offering. But he gave me ideas. He blessed my business. He showed me how not to get in trouble in business, and I don't have a business degree, and the extra he supplied to fund my passion. I am not the brightest bulb on the Christmas tree, but he has put me before a lot of people that are very knowledgeable to help me to fulfill this passion. When I first started with it, which was in '99 as far as building some of the tabernacle stuff, I have to tell you, I was a little bit scared to tell anybody. And I wrote it on a card, one of them prayer cards, and I put it in the offering plate because that church people would pray over those prayer requests. But I didn't put my name because I was afraid someone would ask me how the progress on the tabernacle was coming. But I just said, God, I would like to build the tabernacle for you, and I would like to teach. If this is all I do the rest of my life, I would be happy. Please help me to do it. I didn't believe it, but I put it in there, and slowly but surely things started happening. And as new things would come up, I'd either get the training, or someone would supply the knowledge, or someone would help me to build the various things that you see. So sometimes he will even use your enemies. He will even use sources that you do not even know about to fund your passion if it is for him. Maybe he might fund some of your passions if it's for you, but I know he will fund your passion for him. Tie this. Now there was another goat that we hear more about in sermons and teachings, and his name was the scapegoat. Of course, that's in the King James. Actually, that's not the word in Hebrew. This was the goat for Azazel. This is the one that they either led out into the wilderness to die, or during temple times they kind of pushed him off a cliff to get it done and over with quickly. But remember that first goat that was going to be offered up to the Lord, they tied the red wool around his neck. But the one that was going to go for Azazel and be cast out of the camp, they tied the red around his horns. Now, I'm going to tell you about a passage that you probably haven't thought about for a while. They believed that on the Day of Atonement, when this goat was cast out into the wilderness, no one could feed it, no one could take care of it, that by the time that he died, this wool from the sun would be bleached out and it'd be white. And they believed that that was symbolic of their sins of the camp being forgiven. And Isaiah says, though your sins be as scarlet, they shall be white as snow. This here is a sheep, but it's a male sheep. It's called a ram. He's got his little ram horns, okay? This here is what the traditional shofar is made from, the ram's horn, okay? So he is a sheep, but he's a male one. He's a ram. I'm going to put him back. This is the mama. She's bigger, at least in my set. And she's a sheep, but she's a ewe, an E-W-E. So she's still a sheep, but the female is called a ewe. A lamb is not what it is. A lamb basically designates how old it is. A lamb is a sheep, and it could be male or female, but it's a sheep that is 1 year or younger. Remember, the high priest had already dipped in a mikvah, had already cleansed himself. This was to basically help him to remove any of the debris and the dust or any of the blood from basically cooking the sacrifices at the brazen altar, and to wash his feet. And you and I need this in our life. We need the washing, the daily washing, the renewing of the mind. Just in our normal duties and way of life, no matter how clean we think we are, there are things that are kind of attaching themselves to us along the way, and we have to take time for reflection and kind of wash and cleanse ourselves.